What's good, everybody? I'm Brandon. Hey, bro, today we're about to do another video from Screen Rant. This video is titled 10 Dark 90s Cartoon Theories That Will Ruin Your Childhood. This shit say it'll ruin your childhood, bruh. That's how dark these things are. I'm ready to hop on into them. I want to see what they talking about. But of course, before I do, make sure y'all leave a comment down below. Let me know what y'all want to see me react to next. And yeah, bruh, I'm trying to see what they talking about, man. Let's see what cartoons they talking about.
For many millennials, watching cartoons in the 90s was the best thing ever. We have many fond memories of dozens of hit cartoons and characters.
Samurai Jack
today. But despite how awesome 90s
Powerpuff Girls, I forget all of these, bro. Of course, Pokemon.
Ooh, I love the sound of this one.
I never really watched Ren and Stimpy.
Dark, so prepare to have your childhood ruined.
Ah, shut up.
Before we get started, be sure to click on that subscribe button to get more content from Screen Rant every day.
That mediator lady made some good points.
Most definitely.
Spongy Fallout. If you know your history, then you know where we're going with this one. If you've ever been a fan of SpongeBob SquarePants, and we're sure you have, as it was one of the most popular cartoon shows on TV at the time, then you'll know that the setting of the show is called Bikini Bottom. When you're a kid, or perhaps even today, you may think it's called that thanks to its association with beaches, sun, and oceans. But the harsh reality is much darker if this theory is correct. The reason why SpongeBob takes place in Bikini Bottom is because it actually takes place in Bikini Atoll, which is a real-world
location. We just learned about this, y'all, like yesterday. Another video I did.
From 1946 to 1958, it was where the United States of America tested 20 nuclear devices, including bombs. Because of that, the area is heavily irradiated. This, of course, led to the mutation of some of the characters, including a talking sponge and his friends.
Look! Another rubber stopper for my rubber stopper collection!
In short, the animated characters are results of nuclear experimentation. Well, it could have been much worse. We'll take a talking sponge over anything in the Fallout games any day.
Man.
You always scare me, Pinky.
Pinky the Brain. The opening theme song for the hit animated show Pinky and the Brain tells its audience from the get-go that one of them is
a genius
and one of them is
insane.
While that is indeed handy information to have, the song actually never explicitly tells us which one is which.
You're a mouse. This is a horse.
People are so intolerant.
It's easy to assume that Pinky is the insane one, as the show is called Pinky and the Brain. But we're not so sure it's that simple. Brain's goal in life is to essentially take over the world.
So
Every
he's
episode
insane.
sees him come up with a new plan to fulfill that goal. These plans are admittedly really insane. They're more insane than they are smart, in fact. Pinky, on the other hand, is left playing dumb and tries to thwart the plans to take over the world. He's the one who pokes holes in Brain's plans in every episode, and it's proven right in the end. Now, if we look at this information at face value, who seems like they're the insane one and who seems like the genius? Brain may think he's smart, but as Albert Einstein stated, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again
and expecting different results. Yeah.
That's disturbing.
The curious case of Ed, Edd, and Eddy. This theory pulls no punches with its
Did y'all used to watch Ed, Edd, and Eddy?
In short, it suggests that the slightly moronic and troublesome children found in the show Ed, Edd, and Eddy are in fact dead. Yikes.
What?
So how is it that we have a cartoon based on their exploits?
They're dead?
Look at me!
As it turns out, the boys are in purgatory, which is represented as a cul-de-sac on the show.
I didn't know that.
The boys never leave. If they are in purgatory, it would explain a few bizarre clues hidden throughout the series. For one, there are no adults shown at any time in the series. Not one. You'd think that there'd be someone mowing a lawn or calling for the kids at some point.
Think about it!
These three kids are left to their own devices. It would also explain why they have a bluish tint to their tongues, as tongues can turn blue upon death. The kids also all died at different times and all came together at the cul-de-sac. Johnny 2x4, another kid on the block, carries around a piece of wood and would have used that as a toy in the early 1900s.
Save yourself.
Eddie was a fast talker from the Great Depression, while Double D Ed passed in the 1980s, which explains his fascination with technology.
Thank you.
Ash's reality. Ash Ketchum is one of the
What's
poster
happening to
characters of the
Pokemon,
90s.
bro?
If you don't know about him or Pokemon, then you likely were not around in the 90s, or were living in a world without television. But despite how much of an impact Ash and Pokemon have had on the youth of the 90s and the world in general, there's something that doesn't quite add up with his journey. In the first season, Ash embarks on a quest to collect them all and reach the Indigo Plateau. There's two sides to this theory. Both suggest that Ash's reality isn't what it seems. One is that Ho-Oh, the mythical Pokemon that flew over Ash in the first season, granted Ash's wish to stay young, which is why he's still a child after all these years on the go. Seriously, Ash doesn't age at all. The other possibility is that the electrocution Ash gets from Pikachu early on in the show alters his reality and places him in a coma.
Shocking, isn't it?
Everything from there on, all the new Pokemon and adventures, including Pokemon that aren't part of the original 151, are figments of his imagination as he's comatose. He walked off that electric shock like it was nothing, but this theory suggests that Ash never got the chance to walk it off after all. Which one seems more likely to you?
How incredibly observant!
Samurai Jack.
Two and the same. If you grew up in the 90s, there's a good chance you watched something by Genndy Tartakovsky at some point in your life. He created Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, and worked extensively on Powerpuff Girls, among other things.
I saw
Now, what if we told you that Samurai Jack and Powerpuff Girls had something in common besides their similar animation styles? If you ever watched both shows,
Samurai Jack is the daddy?
Samurai Jack and Professor Uranium kind of look alike. Since Tartakovsky is the animator on both, it's not too crazy to see why. But what if it's more than that? This theory suggests that both characters are, in fact, one character. The theory suggests that after Jack's battle with Aku, both were launched into a time portal. Aku became a liquid version of himself thanks to his evil ways. In a new world, though, one with different rules than his own reality, Jack takes it upon himself to learn about Aku's new liquid form, or Chemical X, if you will, which of course leads to the lemonade that creates the Powerpuff Girls. Do you think that's too crazy, or is there just a smidge of logic there to make it plausible?
Nah, that's a little too crazy, bro.
Claw, the original. In the 90s animated series, the Inspector Gadget we know of is in fact the second Inspector. The first one was missing in action and presumed dead, which caused his niece to build a robotic replacement of the Inspector. But what really happened to the original Inspector Gadget? Chief villain in the hit cartoon is of course Dr. Claw. Despite his presence in the show, we've never actually seen what Dr. Claw looks like. And there's good reason for that, as it's heavily theorized that he's in fact the first Inspector Gadget. The theory suggests that the original Gadget was a police officer who bit the dust while working a case, but he was so good that the station couldn't risk losing him. So they built a robot to replicate the presence of the outstanding officer. But the original Inspector survived. He may have had his life, but he was left scarred, disfigured, and insane. Seeing that he was replaced infuriated him, sending him into such a rage that he became Dr. Claw.
Okay. That's a good little theory right there.
Is destroying the robot that replaced him. The evidence also showcases that Claw never harms Penny, the niece, as she's family, and that he's a bit of an idiot, which tells us that the robot didn't match the intelligence of the original police officer.
You might actually impress somebody.
What's with Doug? One of the most unique things about Doug from the cartoon show named after him is his wacky and playful imagination. Every episode he drifts off into his imaginary lands, often imagining himself as a hero of sorts, or maybe a rock star.
They say Pisces, we're in our heads a lot and we imagine a lot.
Doug Funny interact with them.
We do.
In fact, things can get pretty dangerous when he's in the dream world. In one such dream, he's riding a bike through traffic, without a care in the world. Only since it's also happening in real life, when he snaps out of the daydream and into the real world, he's already crashed into a car. This means that Doug's dreams are almost too real, causing him to blur the lines between fantasy and reality. Sounds kind of dangerous, putting him and others at harm. With that in mind, it also sounds like Doug may be suffering from schizophrenic hallucinations that alter his perception of reality. If Doug actually is suffering from schizophrenia, it would explain why he's able to do the things that he does. It also would be a subtle commentary on what it's like to live with such a condition, without getting too in your face about it.
You mean you didn't even know I run away?
The imagination of Angelica. Angelica is a character that most kids kind of hated, but there are some pretty dark reasonings for her behavior in the show. Her parents are constantly ignoring her, with her mom constantly on the phone and her dad pretty much not caring about her except for surface encounters. So she creates some imaginary baby friends, which explains why she's the only one who understands them. So why would Angelica create babies and not kids her own age? Since her parents only really reach out to her to give discipline,
they're not imaginary though. How their parents
unwarranted and even mean. So since she only understands the authority figure, she creates the baby so she in turn can become that figure and ends up interacting with the Rugrats.
You know, time occasionally feels like it's going by
very slowly.
Caillou isn't doing so well.
Oh, that's why he bald head?
This theory on this list, which is why we saved it for last. There's nothing worse than seeing a child being sick, and there's a good chance that Caillou is as sick as you can be. Can you think of any healthy youngsters who are completely bald? We don't just mean buzz cut bald, but zero hair on the head bald.
Dang,
unless they
bruh.
happen to have been diagnosed with cancer. Caillou's sister Rosie has red hair, and their parents are shown to be brunettes, which in itself is a little unusual. So unless Caillou's mother shaves his head every day with a straight razor, there's a good chance that the boy is actually really sick, which means that Caillou's parents may have adopted Rosie, as the parents may have wanted another child but wanted to avoid the chance of another child being inflicted with the illness. Thankfully, if Caillou really is sick, he's not letting it dampen his mood, and he carries on having adventures and learning new things.
Caillou ain't,
so in that regard, Caillou could actually be a
sick.
positive role model
He
for
just
kids
got
going through similar
male
treatments.
pattern baldness
That is
at a
assuming
very
the
young
theory is
age.
correct, though. But we don't think Caillou's mom is that mean to shave his head every single day. Which dark theory do you think?
Dang, bruh, these were pretty dark. But that last one about Caillou, that's hella dark. They trying to say he got cancer. Sheesh. Good video. Thank y'all so much for suggesting it. What do y'all think? I want to know what y'all think. Do y'all think any of these are true? SpongeBob one. Samurai Jack and the Powerpuff Girls? Nah. Angelica? Nah, that ain't true. Because they her parents be interacting with like Tommy and them parents. You know what I mean? So that ain't true. Wait, it still could be true. No, because they parents be picking them up and shit. Yeah, I don't believe that one. I don't agree. But anyway, this still was a great video. Let me know what y'all thought down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.